gotta remember that thing was built to lift 330,000 pounds. See a shuttle up close, you watch it take off on top of that 747 when it leaves here, and it's just amazing. And you know you had something to do with it.
After the shuttle makes its grand re-entry, landing safely while the world looks on, and after the media has shut off their cameras and gone home, a vital, albeit less glamorous event is just beginning. The processing and mating of the orbiter in the MDD. After landings at Edwards Air Force Base, the MDD is used to hoist and attach the shuttle orbiter onto the shuttle carrier aircraft so that it can be flown back to NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. While simple in concept, the execution of this task is anything but. Considering the average landing weight of the shuttle is roughly 230,000 pounds and holds research and payloads acquired in outer space, precious cargo indeed. In addition to mating the orbiter to the shuttle carrier aircraft, a modified Boeing 747, the MDD is utilized to process the shuttle, a week-long procedure that includes taking up the landing gear, attaching the tail cone, and literally battening down the hatches.
They have what they call escape operation, and that's when they do the actual defueling. And the people that are doing the defueling, they have to be in a full suit. It's air-contained, self-contained, everything has its own air and everything. It looks like the spacewalkers.
During the week of processing, the orbiter is lifted about 10 feet off the ground, while crews work around the clock.
That's the basic idea, is to put the shuttle on top of the 747. That whole process involves a week of processing to safe the vehicle to put it on the 747.
Just before landing at Edwards, Kennedy Space Center deploys about 120 people to Dryden to process the orbiter. Together with the Dryden team, this highly specialized team of engineers, pilots, and ground crew work in unison under harsh conditions, performing precision, high-risk tasks with a fragile 100-ton spacecraft.
If you don't do your job and do it right, there's always something that could happen that could lead to somebody getting hurt, harming in the shuttle. So you have to make sure your job is done and done right, and with all the expertise known and have. So, and that really what keeps you going is the pride in doing that.
Over the years, ground crews were able to perfect the art of mating and processing the orbiter, but never without risk and hardship. To fully appreciate the complexity and scale of this undertaking, it is helpful to understand how the MDD came to be and how it has served as an essential component in the success of the STS program at large. As the sun was setting on the Apollo space program in the early 70s, a new program, the Space Transportation System Space Shuttle, was dawning. One defining distinction between the two programs was that the Space Shuttle was a reusable spacecraft, unlike its predecessor. The shuttle, or orbiter, was to be lofted into low Earth orbit with the energy of 2 solid rockets and the orbiter's 3 engines fueled by an enormous external tank filled with liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. Upon its return from space missions, the orbiter would re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, flying without power, like a glider, and land on a long paved runway, like traditional aircraft. These methods of launch and re-entry proved to be very effective. With an extremely short wingspan, and without the expendable external fuel tank used for liftoff, however, the orbiter lacked the ability to take off and fly like a conventionally powered aircraft in the Earth's atmosphere. From the start of the program, engineers recognized that the orbiters might not be able to return to their launch site at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida because of an engine malfunction after liftoff or because of unfavorable weather conditions.
Shuttle can't land in the rain, no. Once it breaks through the atmosphere, it starts cooling off, and there's enough space between the tile that any water penetrating actually hydraulically pushes the tile off of the shuttle. The water doesn't have any place to go, so the tiles are just glued on. That's why landing at Kennedy, always concerned, because you know how much rain it gets there, and we're usually pretty dry here.
In this event, A landing elsewhere would necessitate bringing the shuttle back to Florida, which meant the need for a structure capable of lifting the orbiter off the ground and placing it on the back of the 747 shuttle carrier aircraft. Using cranes to lift and attach an orbiter was deemed a far too delicate balancing act to sustain over the course of the shuttle program. It soon became clear that there was a need to build a permanent and reliable structure to achieve this task. Hence, the idea of the mate-demate device was born, and plans to fabricate and construct the first MDD were put into action. The Kennedy Space Center awarded a $1.2 million plus contract to the George A. Fuller Company, a division of the Northrop Corporation, to design and build the first mate-demate device. Soon after, the MDD at Kennedy Space Center was constructed in 1976. In the early stages